Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. So I share a house with the owner and another roommate of mine, and the owner of the place is actually selling the place soon and needs me to move out before the Christmas holiday. And as if that wasn't bad enough, a week before Thanksgiving, there was a flooding in the house. Fortunately, none of my belongings were damaged, but it really constrained the common areas. There was nowhere to sit down and all the rest, right? As a single guy, that really detracts from the property. Let's just put it that way. I won't go into too much detail, but I try to be the bigger person because I don't need additional drama in my life. I'm juggling two jobs and I'm trying to get into the dating world, and so I don't want drama with my landlord. If I didn't have all of this going on, I probably, during the pandemic, for example, if this had happened, I would have been much more up in arms about it. In fact, I was with one place. I'll get to that in a second. But it was Thanksgiving, and I went on a couple of dates. You guys remember that. And Thanksgiving was the 28th. And after I came home from the Thanksgiving party, it was Thanksgiving Day. And my landlord, I hate to say this, but had the nerve to ask if I had the money early. She just had to pay some deductibles for the situation. We're walking on concrete. There's nowhere to sit down. Walls are being broken out. And she was like, "Hey, you happen to have the money early? Thank you so much." And I'm thinking to myself, "Really?" And I gave it to her because I had just come home from a very beautiful date, and I didn't want to ruin the flow of the events. Long story short, the date has turned out very well. So maybe the flow of the karma was more important at that point. But I want to point out something. Earlier today, I was at a Christmas party on campus, and I interacted with a colleague of mine who has been married for 10, 20 years. And he was giving me some advice for my recent dating situation, which didn't really apply because of the circumstances involved. And he probably doesn't recognize that. He's been married. He doesn't have to think about. See, he has probably. It doesn't sound like he has a second job. He teaches at Phoenix College, and that's it. And his wife has some other job. I didn't really ask details, but his wife is another professional. It seems like certainly not a stay-at-home parent. I don't think they have any kids either. I didn't really ask, but judging from the subjects of the conversation, probably not. And as I'm talking, it dawns on me he forgets that they each have one job. I have to, in order for me to have a similar lifestyle or just approach the lifestyle that they have, I have to work both sides of that equation, right? Plus, I'd like to look for that life partner. In fact, that was the subject of our conversation. Plus, I have to cook all of my meals, right? They only have to cook half of the time. I don't know who does most of the cooking at home for them. And so all of the suggestions that my colleague was suggesting really didn't add, right? And it was just really frustrating. I won't go into too much detail because he might be watching this, but the suggestions that he suggested either wouldn't add because of time, because of money, because of not having the bandwidth of a second person to do something. And it was just really frustrating to listen to. I had another friend who has sounds like he comes from money. He only works part time. It sounds like I don't know where he got his. I don't know. Judging by the way he talked, he had a lot of money. Either he hit something big. It doesn't sound like he ever did anything crazy though. He probably hit it big with inheritance or a meme stock or something, and he's only working part time. And he was saying that he would never ask a close friend of him to set him up on a date because he doesn't want it to explode in his face and lose the friend. Well, yeah, if I didn't have to juggle two jobs, sure, I could make two sets of friends. The reality is that I have to teach at the community college and make art in order to have the kind of lifestyle that I have, right? You don't. It's really frustrating to listen to somebody who doesn't have who doesn't have to have the same struggles, right? It's really frustrating. I just want to point that out. All right, enough raving for today. Anyway, so leave a comment on how I handled the landlord situation during the pandemic. I had a similar situation. I was living in well, what had happened was Governor Inslee had signed this moratorium that our landlords could not raise our rents. And at the time, weather was nice outside. If I really had to move, I could. Right, I was living in Seattle. I no longer had to work in Seattle anymore. I could have moved to Wallace. I could have moved to Phoenix or anywhere else. And my landlord decided that he didn't have to follow the rules of the pandemic, and I argued with him because I had room there. I wasn't dating anybody. I wasn't even allowed to date anybody at the time. And so that was fun. But I don't have the privilege to play that game anymore. So feel free to leave a comment on what I should have done there. Kinda, now looking back, it's kind of insulting, but at the same time, I got to be pleased that the date went really well. And I had a relatively good Thanksgiving. And it made me more alert about this landlord. And I'll be much more alert when I finally do get out of here. This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum.